Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to the BOCC joint public hearing agenda. Public hearing for the LU-25-007 Delta Energy Solar 1041 permit. Would you rise and pledge allegiance? If we could. Yeah, got that up here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our sardines. Okay, welcome. And Sherry, we have a roll call.
Chairman Carlsberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell Wardell.
Present.
Commissioner Joe Chamberlain.
Here.
And for Planning Commission, Chairman Louis Beaver Edson.
Here.
Commissioner Lonnie Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Dale Lyons. Here. Commissioner Leonard Rober. Here. Commissioner Paul Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mary White alternate.
Present.
Commissioner Leonard Fall alternate.
She's here as well.
Oh, she's right.
She's online. Yeah.
Okay, we have agenda approval.
Make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
First and second, call for vote.
Commissioner Chamberlain?
Yes.
Commissioner Wardell?
Yes.
Chairman Spillier?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
So commissioners, Beaver has a statement.
Colorado revised statutes require that I disclose to the members of the Board of County Commissioners and members of the Planning Commission, and I have chosen to make a public disclosure that I have a personal interest in this project. As a member of the Planning Commission, I realize and agree that I will refrain from voting on any matters involving Delta Solar, and that I will not attempt to influence the decisions of the members of the Board of County Commissioners and the members of the Planning Commission in voting on the matter, subject to the CRS 2418-101.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is it. Wait, is that at least one?
She's coming. You got the thing set? All right.
And recordings on.
The recording is on. All right. Here we go.
All right. All right. This is a hearing before the Board of County Commissioners and the County Planning Commission under the guidelines and regulations for the areas and activities of state interest, also known as 1041 guidelines. The Board and the Planning Commission will consider an application filed by Delta Solar Energy, and the County Administrator, Carl Young, is hereby appointed hearing officer and will conduct the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Commission, sitting jointly as a permit review panel, will consider an application filed by Delta Solar Energy seeking a permit under Section 7 of the County Land Use Code on areas and activities of state interest, also known as 1041 regulations. The applicant seeks to construct a solar farm on land located approximately 9.4 miles northeast of Walsenburg, 7 miles north of Highway 10, 6.1 miles east of Interstate 25, 1 mile south of County Road 103, and 2 miles west of County Road 120. In Township 26 South, Range 66 West, Section 24, and Township 26 South, Range 65 West, Sections 18 and 19. Parcel number 342-786. The preliminary application was deemed complete on May 12th, 2025, and a final application was submitted to the county on September 5th, 2025. On September 8th, 2025, county staff deemed the final application submitted to the county on the 5th with the incorporation of the preliminary application to be complete. The application was then set for hearing pursuant to section 7.04.09 of the County Land Use Code. The process we will follow today is as follows. The applicant, Delta Solar Energy Facility LLC, by its representative or representatives, will present a statement together with any additional information as concerns the application. Following that statement, the public, county staff, and the permit review panel will be allowed to ask questions of the applicant. Next, county staff will present their report and together with any relevant information as concerns the application or the county's rules. Following that presentation, the public, the applicant, and the permit review panel will be permitted to ask questions of the county staff. Then testimony will be given by anyone desiring to be heard, pro or con, concerning the application. Following this testimony, questions may be asked by the applicant, county staff, the public, and the permit review panel. Then I will ask if there's any further evidence or documents or testimony to be provided concerning the application. If any further testimony is provided, questions may be asked of the person providing the testimony by any person, county staff, and the permit authority. I will then ask the applicant if they have any rebuttal or responsive comments to make or documents to present as a result of anything that's been presented. Following the testimony and question and answer periods, the Planning Commission will make their recognition to the Board of County Commissioners, which then has the following options pursuant to section 7.411 of the County Land Use Code. 1, if the Board of County Commissioners finds there is not sufficient information, it may continue the hearing until the additional information has been received. However, the continuance may not exceed 60 days from this hearing unless agreed to by the applicant. 2, the Board of County Commissioners can approve the application with or without reasonable conditions. Or 3, the Board of County Commissioners may deny the application. It is the Board of County Commissioners' normal practice not to make an immediate decision, but take it under consideration, consider the evidence presented, and make the decision not later than 120 days from today's date. However, I've been advised that the County Commissioners hope to a final decision and issue that decision as soon as possible, as early as the next commission meeting to be held on October 21st, 2025. I also want to point out that this hearing is being recorded electronically. If you do speak or provide documents, it will be necessary for the machine to record what is being said and done. So I may periodically ask you to speak up or repeat something, or the county clerk may make a request. We do want to keep an accurate record of what is said and done, so your cooperation in this regard is appreciated. We will take periodic breaks for the benefit of the report of the panel. Excuse me. Lastly, my role here is to provide structure and organization to the proceedings, the way the proceedings are handled, much like a chairman would do in a board meeting or a judge would do in a courtroom. Having said that, this is not a court proceeding or a courtroom, and the rules of evidence do not apply to this matter. The goal is to let the applicant fully present its application and to allow the public and the permit review panel to ask questions and to allow the applicant to respond. So I most certainly will appreciate your attention and cooperation. All right, with that, let's get started. Dale Harris, a representative of the applicant, will you please come forward and make a statement regarding Delta Solar's application?
Yes, sir. I will. May I be allowed to present?
Right now.
Continue shares. Stuff broadcast. So if this goes smoothly.
Do you want to turn it to Mike? Is it going there?
Looks like it's up there. My name is Dale Harris. I want to start off by thanking everybody for taking the time to hear our project. I'm here to Harris. I made that mistake earlier. Yeah, this is the best.
It's always one.
I'm here as a representative of Delta Solar Energy Facility on behalf of Infinity Global. I want to start off by giving you guys a high-level overview of our company. We develop energy solution projects to contribute to the all-of energy approach. We are a US-based company with our headquarters in Miami and an office in the great state of Texas, Dallas, Texas, specifically. A little bit north. We have over 21 gigawatts in different stages of development throughout the U.S., over a dozen states. We are starting construction on 600 megawatts this year, and we currently have over 400 megawatts of operational assets in the United States. We are a long-term investor. We develop to own and operate these projects. So it's important. Right? Third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Us being owners and operators of these projects, it's important for us to build long-term community relationships. Now moving on to just a quick view of some of our operational assets. We've got them in North Carolina, Idaho, and California. There's a little map of some of the operational assets. Now diving into the project, as said earlier, the project is a little over 9 miles away from Walsenburg, located on a little over 1,000 acres of privately owned land. And the land overall is very flat with a 230 kV transmission line running through the property. It's one of the reasons why we picked this site. The project is 150 megawatts AC, approximately 195 megawatts DC, with about a 75 megawatt size battery storage facility. This project is estimated to be around $250 million, thus potentially bringing around $20 million in tax revenue to the county over the life of the project, which is expected to be around 40 years. This project will also bring in around 200 to 250 jobs during the peak of construction, which should last a little over a year. Long term, there's going to be around 2 to 5 operation and maintenance jobs. This is a photo of what some of the best battery energy storage containers look like. They are unoccupiable units, which was something they have changed from some of their initial designs, learning from the mistakes of the industry in the past. They're much safer being unoccupiable, so nobody needs to go in and open a door to be able to check on. These batteries are also monitored with SCADA systems and are rigorously tested. These are not like your batteries in an electric vehicle. They go through thermal runaway testing, testing individual cells. And if those cells propagate to the rest of the cells, it fails the test. Then they do the same thing with the modules. If they put them into thermal runaway, if the modules then propagate to any other modules, they then fail the test. We also do work with third-party fire consultants that help write some of the NFPA 855 standards, which is the National Fire Protection Association standards. We engineer all of our facilities to meet those designs. Safety is extremely important for us. The last thing we want is anybody ever getting hurt. This just shows you our proposed access road to the project, again, on privately owned land off of County Road 121. And this is a little overview of the project layout. You can see that we have incorporated 3 migration corridors. We have done a little over 2 years worth of environmental studies and worked closely with CPW, incorporating their recommendations into the overall site plan. We can see that the battery and substation are all on the north side of the site, which is directly next to that 230 kV transmission line. This is some of the community benefits. There will be a substantial amount of jobs created during the construction period. We do prefer to hire locally. Some of these jobs, depending on the local workforce, will need to be brought in, and we will not be able to meet all of the job requirements locally, but that is always our objective when we can. These are some of the key highlights of the project. Again, it's on 1,000 acres of privately owned land. The project is interconnecting to the 230 kV transmission line owned by Tri-State. We actually just officially submitted our interconnection application less than a month ago and have been given a queue position. We are expecting to receive the study results from Tri-State in September of 26. That is a very important part of the process in making these projects viable. They tell us what our cost is going to be to connect to the grid. There has been wetland delineation done on the site. We have worked with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, avoiding all wetlands, and I'll reiterate, we have done multiple years of environmental studies and worked closely with CPW throughout the process. There is no mineral or mining activity on the site, and one of the major mineral owners is our landowner that we're working with. This is a high-level overview of the project schedule. As you can see, we are in the middle stages of development. These projects are very complicated, and there's a lot of pieces that need to fall in place for them to be successful. This being a very important piece that we're discussing here today. If the interconnection is successful and we secure offtake, we are expecting to start construction in 2028. With an anticipated COD of 2029. Thank you guys for your time, and happy to answer any questions. And if we want to dive into the details of the over 130-page application, I'm happy to.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Before we get to the review panel, does anyone from the public or anyone from the county staff have any questions?
There's a hand raised on mine.
So, for clarification, will there
Please,
be-
I need to
Yeah,
come to
just
the
podium.
Staff.
Hello.
It's in the packet.
We just needed some clarification. This is our first commissioners meeting.
Could you say
You're all
your
very
name?
new faces. Okay, my name is Michelle Guess. My partner is Dave Monroe. We're new kids on the block. This is our first time to the commission meeting. I simply wanted to know, is there going to be another chance to ask questions? I do not want to miss the opportunity. I also would really prefer the people who have invested quite a lot of time into this, the opportunity to ask their questions. So that was my only question, so to speak.
So yes, there will be other opportunities to ask questions.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
My contact information is on there. Please reach out to me.
Sure, no, exactly. Yeah.
Dave?
I have no question.
Oh, okay. Joshua?
Oh, no, that list is not for, to read out like that.
Oh,
That's just
okay.
for, yeah, it's for anyone that goes up to speak, make sure.
Oh, sorry.
Martinez?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Carlos Martinez. My mom is a property owner down there, and I apologize. We've not had a chance to fully review the documentation. I was just trying to figure out, or I'd like to understand how this will impact. I don't know exactly how close my mom's property is to this property, but how is the traffic and the rights of way and all of that stuff going to be handled?
So the peak of construction is going to last anywhere from 2 to 5 months, and that will be the heavy traffic period. There is a traffic study that was performed as part of the application that does show the impact. I will apologize, during that 2 to 5 month period, there will be a substantial amount of traffic. Long term, there's going to be no impact whatsoever. There will be extremely minimal traffic going out to the site during operation.
So how do you, can I speak?
Yep.
So how do you plan on, when you're in there, doing this project, how do you plan on keeping these roads, like, not getting dusty, and do you have any kind of maintenance plan for the roads?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we do. Are you talking the on-site roads or the
The county
road,
roads?
the county road? So for the roads themselves, we will be watering them, making sure that we're preventing any sort of kick up or dust.
Have you gotten that plan in place, like augmentation water and all that? Have you looked into that?
We have looked into it. I will say that it is very preliminary at this point, and we will make sure that those plans are fully submitted to the county prior to construction.
Okay, so I have another question.
Can I make sure that, Mr. Martinez is finished here?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Martinez, are you finished? Do you have any more questions?
I think that's it. I just, it sounds like there's a plan in place. I need to do a little more diligence. Do we know when the next option for comment will be?
It'll be so after anyone gives testimony, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions to that person giving testimony. So after this, Guy Tallman will present for the county, and then the member of the public can give testimony if they want to. So there'll be multiple opportunities to ask questions throughout the day.
Okay, I'll just listen for now then. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Lena.
So you had said that, some of the benefits are that you would be employing some of our local citizens here. What kind of jobs would you, offer them, and what skill set would they need?
So the jobs that we would be offering would be dependent on the skill sets of the workforce. We like to have apprenticeship programs in place to be able to educate some of the younger community members. And if there is a specialized skill set, actually, one of the community meetings we had, there was an expert in solar construction. We will definitely consider him for maybe a more specialized position. It's electricians, project coordinators, manual labor type work, and then operation and maintenance long term. So that's somebody who is going to be, managing site, any sort of mechanical or equipment failures. We need to replace panels occasionally, things like that.
Anyone else from the panel with questions?
I have a few. You mentioned in the packet that once the job is completed, there'll be 4 full-time jobs.
2 to 5. It is varying right now because a lot of things are being automated. You definitely will need people on site for things like replacing a panel if there's a failure. But a lot of things are being monitored. So I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
You estimated a $25 million tax revenue in the county. What was the calculation behind that?
Pull that number back up, and I believe it was 20. Can show my screen yet. It's a 20.5 million is the estimated tax benefit. Yes, ma'am. So that was based off of the mill rate, which was 20.697, and an estimated capex of the project of 250 million. Of course, those numbers are subject to change. We're going to be starting construction in 2028, and it's going to depend on the market at that time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Dale has a question for Dale.
So during all of this, once the construction happens, will there be monitoring of the site for junk? There's, every time people come into our county, there's junk involved with any project, oil and gas, whatever it is. Will there be provisions within your company to monitor the site, making sure it's clean and neat? I imagine the safety issue might be huge, and it would be under safety issues that we keep 1,000 acres without pieces of metal and broken solar panels. I'm assuming your company takes responsibility for taking that. I just didn't notice that. In the 140 pages that I reviewed, I might have missed it, but that's my question to it.
Yes, ma'am. Like I said earlier, we are owners and operators of these projects, so we're not going to be intending to flip this to somebody else. So we want to make sure that we are maintaining the site responsibly, taking care of the trash, and making it a benefit to the community, not a negative impact. The environmental impact to us is also extremely important.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Because I just didn't notice anything in there. I look.
Yeah, I do apologize. I do not see that myself, which is, it must not have been a requirement here to submit, but I am happy to provide you with a decommissioning plan that is standard for us to have in place.
Of course. Yeah, that works.
This is actually, I'm recalling right now, there is a chance that we do a repowering in 40 years. This is the life of the project is for 40 years. There's a chance that we continue to operate it.
Well, that Sunday goes away.
Paul?
Along that line, are we requiring, as we do with most large projects, any kind of performance bond or indemnity or anything like that with this project?
So that is a option that the planners recommend the board can impose in the conditions if this were to be approved.
Yeah, we are happy to meet any conditions on decommissioning bonds. We have that in place on a lot of our projects in Colorado, which is why I think I misspoke here. never, but that would not be an issue.
I saw a question from the audience.
I
Ron, guys?
have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So what is the chances of these, any like fires or any?
Mitchell?
Can you tell us what this battery technology is? Is it lead acid or lithium ion?
So lithium ion is right now what's standardly used in the industry. I know that lithium iron phosphate is becoming very common, which is even a safer battery. And we will be using most likely one of those two technologies. The construction on the project starts in 2028. We're going to use the best technology at that time.
Mike?
Will this property be fenced with some type of security fence or?
Yes, sir. It's security and wildlife friendly fencing, and it's not the entire area. If we pull up, I don't know, if we have the site plan, but the site plan shows the migration corridors. And so each section of those arrays will be fenced separately to allow for flow of animals.
And what kind of fencing will you use and how high will it be?
So CPW requires for us to use this wildlife friendly fencing, which is, I believe they require for us to go up to 8 feet tall and then also leave a barrier or an opening at the bottom. Small opening to allow for critters to go through, but also tall enough to prevent animals from jumping over.
So that's the type you would use whether they recommended it or not?
We want to make sure that we're meeting the recommendations of CPW. So what do they recommend? I would like to have no fencing at all on the site. That's preferred by me. But from an insurance standpoint and anything from a CPW standpoint, they want us to have fencing.
With the escape routes that they're talking about. I'm reading their letter here and said that they escape routes.
Yes.
Anything else for the panel at the moment? Okay.
Who will the electricity that you're producing go to?
So it goes to Tri-State, and they will determine wherever the demand is for the electricity is going to be where the electricity flows to. Electricity is very similar to water and how it flows. And if there are, it's like we are putting the water into a pool. We don't have a say where the pool decides to take that water. It's whatever pipes are connected to it, and the owner of that pool decides to put the water.
Jim, does he have any?
Yes, I was just going to go back to the fire department. Would your company have any ability for providing assistance for any equipment that the fire department would need? And what type of equipment that would be? Because with the batteries and stuff like that, that's a whole different fire animal than say a grass fire or a tree fire. And in the area where it's going to be is more grasslands and that kind of thing, even though there's not a whole lot of grass there. I grew up on the east side of I-25 out on Highway 10. So we've had very few wildland fires out there, but that can be something to think about. And also in your hazardous materials plan for cleanup, is there any specifics on that? Because I know that there was a solar farm up by Bennett, Colorado that was destroyed earlier this year. What kind of chemicals or anything involved with these solar panels gets released if they're destroyed like that, say by hail or wind or tornadoes? If you know.
So first question is going to be about equipment for the local fire department. Second question is about hazardous materials if the panels are destroyed. For the first question, we take the advice of our third-party fire consultants, and if you make that as the condition of approval whenever they come into the training, if that was something that they were advising, we would definitely take their recommendation. However, in utilizing these consultants who I mean, I'm not a fire expert by any means. These people know everything about fire. They help write these standards, and we're career firefighters. And a lot of the time, actually, every single time we have utilized them, their recommendation is not for additional equipment. It tends to be training.
Okay.
And then to answer the hazardous material question, with regards to the panels themselves, these are all silicon-based photovoltaic cells that are not high hazardous at all. They are solid-state electronics, So if they were to break, which is very unlikely that they do shatter, nowadays with the single axis trackers, they're able to turn the panels in the optimal direction to prevent hail damage, and the glass material has gotten a lot stronger. So the panels themselves are extremely strong. So if they were to, which is not what we want to happen, there still wouldn't be any leakage of hazardous materials. On the battery side, if there's reasons why there's all these measures put in place, and the batteries are a separate piece that we take a lot of precautions to make sure there are not incidences. The SCADA system for monitoring the individual cells, the fact they go through the serious testing for thermal runaway is to prevent any sort of that hazardous material from being leaked. However, our emergency response plan would be in place to make sure that it would handle any of those hazardous materials.
Silly question. These big fences, are there gates?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I just didn't, I read the report. Didn't see any gates.
So we do need to get into the arrays for operation and maintenance reasons. So there will definitely be access.
And we do want, we sort of specialize in high winds, tornadoes, and hail. So all of these things need to count on that. I mean, just plan on it, because it'll happen.
Yes, ma'am. So in Texas, we get a lot of hail and long
During
term.
the Texas, without storm doors. I know about tornadoes. You have to plan for them. You can't put this underground because it's so, good. It'd be nice.
So what is the question?
I was just saying plan on tornadoes,
Yes, ma'am.
because you gotta have them.
Yes, ma'am. They take that into consideration in the designs. Now, tornadoes can be extremely powerful. And acts of God are something we can't always stop, but there are definitely ways to engineer to mitigate that and to hopefully be prepared for certain levels of tornadoes.
I have
And F5, no, I'm not sure if it matters what is there.
Yeah, everything would be done.
So I seen the map where these are gonna go and everything. So how big is this footprint? I mean, is it that whole little area that you've got kind of highlighted there? Is that how the size of this?
And so there's property offsets on it, and then there's the migration corridors. So it's not going to be every square foot of it, but it is on a whole lot of that 1,000 acres there. There, from a grading standpoint, and like the actual land impact, that is only going to be for the access roads, the substation area, and the battery. Other than that, we have to do very minimal grading with the technology used in the trackers. We don't have to grade where the panels are going themselves, so we don't have to disturb that vegetation. And any disturbance of vegetation or dust is very bad for us. And we want to mitigate that as much as possible.
So what are kind of future plans? Do you plan on any more growth in that area, or is this as big as that you're gonna go, or what is kind of the future plan? Are you thinking of something bigger eventually, or no?
So the size of the facility is mainly dictated by by Tri-State or the utility and the available capacity that is going to be on that transmission line. At this time, that we did a low flow study, and that was shown to be the available capacity. So we don't intend to go larger, but I don't like to give blanket statements like that, because things do change. If the utilities demand increases, there's a chance that we might want to increase the size of the facility. And that might not be necessarily the footprint. It could be if we were working with other landowners to increase the footprint, but the technology continues to advance very quickly, and we're able to have higher and higher capacity with lower and lower footprint.
That'd be nice, because I would want to live next to that. That's kind of ugly.
Everybody has their own opinion about one of the benefits. I will, I'm not a wind proponent. One of the things I do love about solar is we're talking at max tilt on these panels. It's going to be 10 to 12 feet tall. So from a distance, these things look like almost like water. They do cause very little visual impact.
So I know you can't like, plant trees around it or anything to make it look any appealing or different because there's no water out there, but so pretty much just a fence with.
Have you seen in the visual impact study? It was done where we did the simulation in there. It shows the different vantage points in the application of what the facility will look like. It's not very tall, so from those vantage points, it is minimal. If there are,
Well, there's that one going, what?
Like to wrap up with Linda's question first, and Lonnie has.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm like, something about the visual in the area and I don't just.
I'm very biased. I like
Yeah.
the looks of them, but that's, again, I'm biased.
Okay. Yeah.
I like American.
I'm good.
Okay, you said the height on these was how tall?
At the max tilt, it's going to be around 10 to 12 feet tall.
How high are they above the ground at the low point?
Depending on the topography, when you're saying at max tilt, how far are they from the ground, the panels themselves, or are we talking the trackers?
The panels.
So the panels themselves at max tilt are going to be fairly close to the ground because they'll be tilted like this. So probably a foot, give or take. Then the actual trackers themselves are anywhere from 3 to 5 feet.
So you won't have any livestock in there with,
No, if this environment was conducive to sheep grazing is a great way to pair agriculture and solar. I'm not sure that the environment out here is conducive to sheep. I know that we've got a project south, and we did discuss sheep at one point, but CPW also nixed it and said that sheep out there were really bad for the other species. I think it was a sheep or something.
so how many of these panels will be on this 1,000 acres?
Let me tell you real quick. Right. If you go into the site plan and you go to plant summary, you can see total number of nodules, which is 276,642 panels at current with the current site plan. As the efficiency of these panels increase, that number is could change.
So are those close enough together to have an impact on vegetation growth?
I'm glad you asked that question about vegetation growth, because there's been a lot of studies done about vegetation growth in solar facilities. And while I'm not going to sit here and say that there is no impact on our facility, no negative impacts, but there is a benefit to the vegetation growth, and actually the water table as well. Because these solar panels provide shading for the vegetation, and also it's not being farmed. Nobody is going in, there's no cattle on it. It's not being used very much. They show that the vegetation actually improves, that there's better microbiome, the grass roots become longer, and the water table is slightly increased because there's less thermal load on the soil due to the shading, so there's more there's less evaporation of the water, more absorption into the soil. Happy to provide you with those studies. That is definitely one of the more positive impacts, and it basically makes the land better for farming once the facility is decommissioned.
Dale?
I was just saying, he hasn't calculated the return flow from Alfred.
Any more questions from the panel? At this time?
As you start with speaking.
Hi, my name is Joshua Taylor. Very local landowner to this project. Commissioners, thank you for hearing me today. I support clean energy. Many of us,
Do you have questions for the applicant?
what I'm about to discuss is questions for both of them. My statement to the council being that this is premature because there are a lot of things that he says that will be done after approval that should be done before approval.
So if I can ask you, right now, we're in a place where folks have questions from the applicant.
Okay.
There's time for statements.
All right, so considering the canal that runs through there, that is a wetland area. What have you done with Colorado Department of Environment and Clean Water Action to prove that there will not be any destruction to that vital canal that is in that area?
So we're avoiding all of that wetland that runs through the site, and we've submitted a site plan to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and are causing no impact that would need a nationwide or permit. So to answer your question simply, we avoid the wetlands.
But you're right about to it. That's not going to have any effect on that wetlands. And where is your Army of Engineers statements stating that you don't need the 404?
So if you see right here, this is going to be the wetlands area. We actually discussed this with CPW as a way to add in an additional migration corridor. So that is going to be completely avoided. It's 250 feet wide area that will not be disturbed by any of the panels of the site itself. It will only be used for crossing.
So that won't disturb the animals that go through there, the birds that go through there. They're all going to move and migrate during construction. It may not come back to that.
So I will not sit here and try to pretend like there's no disturbance with what we do. This is development and there is going to be disturbance. We tried to take every measure possible to mitigate that disturbance, which is why we have worked very closely with CPW. This is the approved site plan from them to mitigate that impact.
With 4 wetlands in that site area, I had a question, why would you choose that area when you know that it's going to disturb that during the construction process when you're not totally covered? As another thing, like soil surveys and stuff being done, I think we know a lot more about how the soil acts out here than what a survey actually even says in that area. Like we drive down our dirt roads and they're just, they stay that way after just passing a few times. The vegetation dies from just traveling over a few times. What are you going to do to regrow the vegetation in that area after it's been disturbed?
So I was looking at the wetlands here, and I don't believe there's 4. I believe there's the main canal, and then there is one other wetland right next to it. That is
recognized for areas. Says you're
I've got wetlands right here.
your own documentation identifies 4 wetlands and a canal system, so that not even the canal itself, there's 4 wetlands and the canal across from the project.
So I can
Plus the adjoining BLM to the east or to the west.
So we've avoided all the wetlands that were delineated. Why we picked the site that has the wetlands? There are constraints on every potential site there is, whether it be wetlands or whether it be environmental impact. We look for the sites that have the least amount of impact and cite them based off the demand for energy, where the transmission line is, and the size of the land and our negotiations with the land. We do everything we can to mitigate our environmental impact. And as far as the vegetation goes, we always have a revegetation plan in place because dust is very bad for us. And it's infecting the environment is opposite of our mission with renewable energy or alternative energy. Our goal is to build a more sustainable future, and it is contradictory to our goal if they're coming in and just grading a site flat, destroying all the environment and not taking that into consideration. My director of development actually was an environmental engineer himself, and all the studies were performed by local Colorado environmental consultants.
What consultants you need that?
Two dollars is the name of the consultancy, now been acquired by Montrose.
And they worked with CPW
That's correct.
and Colorado Department of Health and Human.
They work with CPW, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. For all the recommended agencies for us to discuss their surveys. They modified some of their surveys with the recommendation of CPW, and they work very closely with them. I was a part of many of those meetings.
So, as far as the building permit code, 1041, you say that a lot of these things will be presented after approval, but the 1041 itself states that you have to prove these things before it can be approved. That's why I think this is premature to be in front of the council today, because you haven't actually proved. You just said that you will prove things later. You will work with these agencies later. You will do fire training later. But yet, without any of that proven, how can the council approve you off of your work? Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't even understand what we're here. So under what Mr. Edmonds knows himself is part of the planning code of 1041.
So we met all of the 1041 permitting requirements, so there is a lot of things that need to happen on these projects for them to be successful. It takes about 5 years. It's our normal development cycle. Sometimes it can go a little bit longer. I recently described it to somebody. I use this example regularly when talking about our projects. Is they're like a three-legged stool. There's 3 very important processes to making them successful: like permitting, offtake, and interconnection. And they all play a role with each other. And permitting is normally the first one that comes because it allows for us to work with the community early on, make sure that we have taken in consideration of all of the potential impacts, while also in parallel working their offtake and interconnection. If those other 2 things don't happen, and even if this project is approved, there's still a high probability that the project can fail. And so there's certain plans like the emergency response plan. The building permit itself will not be submitted until we know that it's going to be built. And with the construction start date in 2028, we can't submit a building permit without knowing what modules we're going to be using, or what the specific tracker is, what the specific batteries are going to be. And so it's this part says we're ready to move forward on the other 2 legs and assist with securing the offtake. But it is just a piece of the puzzle. And it's one of the reasons why we're going to continue to work on these things throughout that process.
Have you finalized the purchase of the property, Mr. Edmonds?
No, sir. No.
So you need the commissioner's approval in order to finalize the purchase of this property, in order to finalize your plans.
I'm confused by the question.
You need the council's approval for your plan in order for you to follow through with the purchase of Mr. Edmonds' land, so that you can follow through with the rest of the things that you needed for your zoning, for your preparation in 1041. That you say that you're going to produce later. You can't produce them yet because you still don't own the land, and you won't own the land until you have the right of way from the council to do your project.
What's the question?
So the question is, there's things that should have been done in the 1041 that are not done yet because he's still waiting for the purchase of the land to be able to do them. And he cannot do that purchase until the council approves his project. His company will not move forward with the purchase of that land. So right now, talking about the 3-legged stool, he should have,
Mr. Taylor?
he should have the land purchased, and he should have the things in order for his proposal that he's saying that he promises he will do later. That it says in the
Can you
please hold on, please.
Hold on for a
it says
second.
in the 1041
on that list.
Hold on,
that
one
just said-
second. So I think that the question you're asking is there, one, are you intending to purchase the property from Mr. Edmondson? And then if so, is that purchase contingent upon approval of this 1041 permit?
The purchase is contingent upon the success of the project. It is not just this 1041 permit being approved. We have to have interconnection and we have to have offtake. We don't actually fully execute the purchase of land until we are about to start construction. When I say about, I'm talking within a couple of weeks, then we actually fully violate. The way that our business is set up is we have land control by setting up option agreements that allow for us to either purchase or lease the land in the future, depending on the success of the project. Those options are set up to be very advantageous for both parties, to where we are financially committed to the landowner throughout the life of that agreement and compensating them until we know that the project is going to be successful. And once that's determined, then we fully execute that agreement.
Okay.
And that is standard across the industry.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, we'll also have time to speak later.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give my thoughts.
Is there any questions from the panel? Ryan, you had a question earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Ryan Geese, county resident.
Say again?
Ryan Geese, Gies, Western Warfield County. I don't live anywhere near this project. Only here as potential future, whatever y'all are up there. Excuse me, planning, zoning, commissioners, administrators. I'm never going to be able to do Carl's job, so don't worry about it. My question is, we kind of talked about that earlier, was the decommissioning plan. And I looked through here and didn't find any of that. You mentioned 40-year lifespan. If we looked back 40 years ago, none of this is even possible, right? So 40 years from now, what is your ongoing improvement to that plan? Obviously, you're not going to build this thing and then 40 years from now, truck all the steel back out somewhere else. There's got to be a plan 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, ongoing technology. Is that part of this decommissioning plan that does not exist?
So your question
So far.
And so in 40 years, if it is advantageous for us to repower the site, we continue to operate it in the new one.
So there would be, looking forward to the future, 10 years from now, 30% of those panels come out for something new, and 30 years from now, those panels will be gone. Lifespan of the panel itself is 40 years. Lifespan of the project is 40 years. I mean, I'm just assuming we didn't meet in this room 40 years ago. As the future rolls forward, what is that? What is the future improvement of this property for Murphy County rather than this immediate use?
So if the project is successful, it means that we will have a position on that transmission line to inject power. And I can't speak to this one in specific in 40 years.
Yeah.
But if the demand is still there for energy, then we would be wanting to potentially repower the site.
One of the opposite question or adjacent questions to that is we have pondered possible nuclear use in this county. Would that transmission, would that be able to be linked, or would that have to be something totally separate? And I'm not a scientist, and maybe you're close, but just is there future uses to this other than solar panels, and then that's it? Once that transmission and connection, is there a bigger, broader idea for how to help this county?
So the question is, are there future plans for the site right
Yeah.
now other than for solar?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically.
No, sir, we do not have any of those plans in place for anything besides solar.
Just
That's what
solar.
we're here to get approved today.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, I'm a dreamer, and I just want to see it move forward.
I would say I like nuclear. Unfortunately, it's just not commercially viable yet.
Yeah.
The role that solar plays is it's one of the cheapest forms of energy.
Yeah, I would even say 10 years ago, those panels are different than they are today.
The
batteries, you can't sit there even now and tell us the batteries that we're going to use.
1 year ago, the panels were-
Yeah, totally understand that. It's a very fluid technology. I did look through the wetlands and the rest of that. I thought it was a good question of, well, why not further east from that? Why have that right, that wetlands canal right through the middle of the project? Was there a deterrent to the other side, or was that simply property lines?
It just had to do with the site constraints, and there tends to be wetlands in a lot of locations.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find an area that has zero wetlands.
Yeah.
And so we do what we can to mitigate that impact. And there's a lot of factors in citing that specific area. Some of it has to do with the discussions with landowners. Other has to do with potential environmental impacts and topography.
Okay, last question, I think, because I did look through that, the 250-foot, I even went out to my property and figured out, well, what's 250 foot? And I got a creek that's that big. So, but we have a lot of wildlife. It's very important here. The water storage on the property doesn't seem to make sense. We have an electrical fire and batteries on fire and the rest of that, but having a water tank in case of a grasslands fire or something, we're required to have that just to sit on a Friday night. So I think it would be important to have some form of 1,000 gallons minimum there. Would think probably closer to 5. And then the building, and again, I think this was cleared up because there is a show of a maintenance building, 180 by or 140 by 80. There's no additional permitting or design to any of that. Is that giant building meant to house only 5 people? Is there additional classroom training, habitat, dormitories, anything like that in that building? Or is that something that can't be planned until 2028?
The building itself is just meant to be an office space and store some basic equipment for maintenance for the 2 to 5 people.
Okay. And so that with the 400 jobs, you have some kind of septic, there's temporary facilities for the construction of all of this going on?
So it's 250 jobs, and that 1 year construction period, there will be portable toilets out there to be able to take care of it.
You said 250, the report says 350 to 400, which I thought was super high. So just curious. That's what I had. So just those questions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just saw your question first, and then we'll come back to you. Is that okay? Wanna come up to me?
Hello, my name is Michelle Guess. Nice to see you again. Like I mentioned, Dave and I are the new kids on the block. Lena actually was our realtor. She was wonderful, so thank you. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Edmondson. You're our neighbor. I spoke with you on the phone. You connected me with Ty, so it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Congratulations. And so we do actually have kind of a personal interest in this. We didn't know about this until Josh was kind enough to stop by.
You have questions for the applicant?
I do. Let me just, let me get to it. I'll be quick, I promise. We are planning on building a house. We live on 103 County Road. It's right on the bend. We have direct line of sight to this project. I'd say less than a mile. From where we are, you can see a truck reflection for about 8 to 10 miles. It's bright and it's flat. You know that area. Getting ready to build a house, getting ready to pull a permit. And we love it out there. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. So my question for you, just a little history. I grew up in commercial real estate. My dad was a broker for 30 years. My godmother, commercial and residential for 60 years. So I've been walking site development since I was 4. I understand that you love to see solar panels. We've been off grid for 4 years. We have lived on solar and propane. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate the commitment to sustainable energy. Have you notified, because you're abutting a subdivision of over 2,000 acres, have you notified the property owners because we didn't get notification. Have you notified all of those property owners so that they could come here and be educated in terms of the adverse resale and appraisal effects, that there's no discounting the visual effects that this is going to have on our property values, on our peaceful enjoyment. So did you notify all the property owners? So you're looking at, you did 60, because there's how many did you notify? Because we're very close to this project and we did not get notice. We are the property owners on record. Notify everybody.
So we notified within the radius of notify the required.
Okay, what is that?
I
If you would be
half-
so kind to provide me with that information.
I believe that was a half mile. I'll have to double check. I think it was 24 different letters that were sent out.
Okay, half mile.
Yes.
For how many solar panels did you say? 200,000 solar panels facing south.
Well, they're facing east and west. They'll be on the tracker.
Okay, so they're going to be facing east,
Yes.
moving south, and then west. So we're gonna get it all, not just when they're facing south, they're actually going to track not 8 hours a day, but 12 hours a day.
I apologize.
Is that correct?
That what?
That they're going to track, for the most part, 12 hours a day. We're gonna get that solar reflection.
You may
One
pause
second,
for the
let's pause for
train.
the train,
just for-
yes.
Yeah. Because nobody can hear when that happens.
Panels, they track the sun.
Dale, can you hold on for a second?
Train.
Yeah, make sure the train's down to speed.
We are so blessed. We only hear the train if something's on the tracks. And I can't tell you, I love trains, but it's such a blessing not to 3:30 in the morning.
Okay,
So I have been pulled for your property is to see what that impact is.
Perfect.
And we can discuss it in detail here or wherever.
Sure.
They will face east to west, so they're gonna track east to west, so they're not gonna be.
No,
west to
no,
south.
okay, all right, east to west. So they will go from east to west and completely bypass the south.
They will not be facing south, that's correct. They are on single axis trackers, yes,
Like
they go like
this?
this, east to west.
Great, so when they're facing west, because where our property is? We're here. So my question for you is, are you prepared to Mr. Edmondson is being compensated justly for his valuable property. Are you prepared to compensate the property owners who are adversely affected? Because it makes sense. Why would the council not? $20 million in tax money? I get it. That totally makes sense. And Dale, thank you for asking such great questions about trash. But all of you, I don't know all of your names, and Lena, you as well. The winds out there, stuff, if it's not bolted down, it'll blow 2 miles. So thank you for asking those questions. What are you guys doing for the property owners who are adversely affected? That's my question. And in writing, my friend.
So I
Thank
have
you.
spoke directly, I spoke with some of the property owners directly adjacent to the project. We have discussed possibly purchasing that land. That would be later, and might be something that we use to inform very decide. We've looked at the value of that property, and we noticed that there's no residential homes built out that area. Subdivision was done a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's what the water is do, you know, they weren't able to actually build homes. So the value of that land for some of the adjacent property, we would definitely consider just purchasing that land.
Okay, well, we're not interested in selling to you. The question is, yes, 255, 256, right on the bend of 103. So,
Okay.
yes,
So this is-
so we can discuss it, but my question is, you are adversely affecting, people buy land as an investment, right? So if you're adversely affecting their investments and their incomes, then how is that a benefit, and are you prepared to compensate for that? That's my only question. I think it's a great, it's gotta go somewhere. And like I said, the commission, 20 million, totally get it. Mr. Edmondson, totally get it. But we live there. We'll get ready to build a house. We love that we have no neighbors. Josh is lovely. But you are, without a doubt, a detriment. Your project is a detriment to our resale value and to our appraised value. So that was my question. I'll let you think about it. But I will, yes, in writing, I will find. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor? Next, Michael.
So, as you're aware, as you're aware, very, very dusty out there. So where are you going to source the water to clean these panels? How often are these panels to be cleaned?
So we do revegetate to try to prevent the dust, and they in this environment do need to be cleaned more than most. So a lot of times, if we revegetate the area correctly, we can prevent like too much cleaning. How much I don't know exactly. And the water usage for cleaning is extremely minimal because they're able to reuse or recycle the water. We've seen some of the cleaning systems that are out there now. They'll attach them to the panels and they'll recycle all the water, especially in areas that are water constrained. So the very minimal for the cleaning portion. The main water usage is going to be during construction, and then all of that water will be trucked in, and we will be purchasing that water from the best water.
And you're going to be spraying the road from your site all the way to the paved road of 10.
All our roads will be sprayed to prevent dust.
Okay, and you're only going to use the 120 entrance.
Right now, yes, sir.
You're not going to use the 3, even though that's possibly a closer route for workers to show up for your peak worker session.
That the access road located was after looking at the traffic impact, and we decided that would be the best road to use.
Because when I access, which I'm like 4 blocks over from you, when I access my place from 103 to 120, that's an hour difference. So if you're having workers come from the north, that means that there's an hour difference longer that they're going to have to travel to get to that site, and you guys are going to try to pick the closer route.
That's not our intention right now.
Right now.
Yes.
I mean, all of your intention to be forward in the planning, otherwise you're falsely proposing because things come up that work shown in front of the public that you could approve you for that could be hidden in your intention.
Our intentions are to mitigate our impact, and things change, and we want to be flexible to do that. Like we're talking about a view from the south. We can have well, we can't do a vegetative buffer. We have done mounds in the past. If that is a substantial concern, which we can see what it looks like on your property, we can build mounds that prevent any visual viewing. That is.
So you'd have to build a 20-foot mound to block a 12-foot tall. So I mean,
depends on the impact, the visual impact.
How much dust does that 20-foot mound create, and where are we getting that dirt for that mound?
There's always a lot of hypotheticals.
There's a lot of hypotheticals because you haven't proven a lot of these things before the council. You're saying to prove that later. You're hypothetically saying.
Get in, please.
Yeah. Josh, you can wrap up the question for me?
I did ask you a question. We're in the dust question right now.
This right here is more reserved for the public testimony portion is what you're doing.
Okay, so Also, now that I lost my train of thought because I was interrupted, let me go back. Let me just say for a second.
So,
I
you're
have,
thinking,
I have more questions for him, yes. Sorry, I have Asperger's. When my train of thought gets interrupted by people, that just takes me 5 more minutes to get what's out of my mouth. So
Just please keep in mind, this is an evidentiary hearing,
I know this is.
and then out of respect,
I
please
know,
keep
I'm
your
trying to
questions
present
brief
evidence.
and to the topic.
I'm trying to present
Okay, and-
evidence of what is going on. So what I was gonna say to him, you only notify people within a mile. Yeah, how far is the farthest range of your assessed view, glare of this map? How far out is your glare map?
We can look in the plans.
Why weren't all of the people within the glare map, notified and only just the very immediate people that live right next to the county? More than just the immediate people.
We do our best to meet the needs of the community and try to, provide as much community involvement as possible. We're not perfect, and when I talk about hypotheticals, the reason is based off our studies right now on visual impact, we don't see any major impact. If we are to start construction and these things, if we were incorrect on study, because I've seen studies be wrong, we are willing to work with the community to mitigate those issues.
Well, since you're using County Road 120 into there, why wasn't every individual that lives along 120, like Mr. Mike over here, why weren't they also notified, since they will be impacted by the traffic, the dust? Yeah.
So
what plans, what bonds do you have set up to compensate residents in the area that may suffer from silica contamination?
so I'm gonna stop this here. The noise requirements are set by the county, so they're not set based on impact, things like that, they're set based on a radius. There are no bonds right now. We haven't gotten that far. I think that just in fairness to both the panel and to the rest of the board, if you got another question, let's go ahead and ask that. And so, but Michael's up next, and then we're gonna take a little bit of a break, both for the panel and the applicant to take a break, and then we're gonna move to the county staff questions. So if you have any more questions before we can wrap up and move to the next phase of this?
I'll wait until I have open discussion to say whether personally why you're answering his questions.
Okay. Michael?
I just wanted to say we worked for months on this 1041, and then it's following the 1041 rules. We worked for months on the 1041s. Just saying, we put a lot of work as volunteers. We worked on this project for months to get the 1041. Just wanted to tell the audience the work the background for this work that we're seeing.
Thank you, Dale. Michael?
Mike Big Pond, live off County Road 120. You said that the trackers would be going from east to west, correct? And that they won't be facing south? That doesn't make any sense because in the winter time, the sun is at a 30-degree angle. So if your panels are pointing straight up, you're not going to be getting any solar. So they have to kind of be tilted south at some angle.
Yeah, you were correct on that. So they're not going to be tilting south with the tracker. They're going to be facing east and west, but there is a slight tilt to the.
How much of a degree of tilt do you know?
I do not know off the top of my head.
You said that usually this is done, the permitting process, over a period of about 5 years.
The project development, is done over a period of.
Why is this being so fast tracked?
This is not being fast tracked. This has been over 2 years of us working, doing these studies, working with local agencies and working with the county.
The first time
to meet the requirements and to address some of the concerns. And we have continual work on interconnection and offtake that we need to secure, that we need to complete before we know the project's going to go through.
But the first time that the public ever found out about this was in November of last year, I believe. And here we are a year later, and you're looking to get approval by next Tuesday. That was just seemed fast.
So let's take
Two hands online.
you want to go online, or we can take a break and then come back to you online.
Why take a break?
So folks online, please leave your hands up. We'll take a 5-minute recess and reconvene at 3:03. Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of water. There's a lot of water in there. I just talking about this morning. I was like, I don't even.
Gotta get out of here, huh? Yeah, see, I don't know up there. It's melting off. Trees and leaves.
So in the regular year, there's nothing, it's on how many times you come up to speed, things like that. In this, there really aren't.
My brother.
And there's lots on leaves.
Yeah, that's a public
We
hearing.
did all in.
Because it's called conditional fully.
And the valley.
Visualize the set of rules.
But, so every now.
For 35 years. So,
Now,
you have.
dumping water.
They're not those, putting all the odd places you got.
Oh.
In one of the wards.
This is just like, this isn't. everything that's done now.
It's 205.
Just to let you know, my daughter has a volleyball game until 30.
Yeah.
Not by that.
Parents take the now.
You get to go out.
Actual water sheet.
Roll yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No spikes.
No.
No, I get claustrophobic, so I'm like back a little bit. I can still.
The water can calm down a little bit.
No, it starts at 4:30, so I gotta be out of here at 4.
Is there?
I'm gonna say, we think you have an idea. We can throw it in.
So if it's still going at 4, then I stand up and walk out.
Try going on.
There's still a
Come back up for about 3 days. And the thing that arm length.
Does that mean I can see my eyes?
Yeah, so it's got the.
Well, it's, yeah, if I come on one page, so
Pipe.
it's.
On the ground and he's shaking gated pipe there.
So it runs in the top.
So I can be out there and shove it, like, those stuff, shove it, and it seems like I can like pull my way from the pole.
Yeah.
Start stepping in the water.
Sure, they.
Yeah, I'll be-
Paper drains. That's what pulls up the slide. It's locked. Folds it up.
This one blows it up. As soon as I unplug it, it starts taking up. Think about that around, it's such a problem. Needed pipe. Do that.
All right.
Just now, 303.
Time is now 3:03. We'll resume the hearing. All right. So general questions for the applicant. Martinez and Lachlan, I saw those hands up, so I will recognize you guys first. First, Martinez. Mr. Martinez, you ready?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I didn't unmute myself. I thought it did that automatically.
No worries.
I was looking, I finally found the maps showing the property, ED-002. And my mom's property is directly adjacent to the southwest portion of the project there. And I'm trying to understand what the experience will be. I think if I was looking further down, it looks like it's an 8-foot fence. What will be the boundary? Is there a road? Is it just the fence that comes right up to the property line? What's happening there between her property and the proposed site?
Mr. Martinez, you cut out for a second there. You said something about 8 and then you cut off.
Oh, my bad. So my mom's property is directly adjacent to the proposed site on the southwest corner. And I'm trying to understand what the experience will be there. Does the project abut right up to her property? Is it going to be a fence line, or is there a road or a right of way? What's happening there?
We're required to have a minimum of a 50-foot offset. We intend to do a 100-foot offset as our goal. At a minimum of 50 foot though. And if it is adjacent, Mr. Martinez, I don't know if you were one of the ones who spoke, but adjacent property, we would be interested in discussing acquiring and possibly incorporating inside at a later date. If you guys are wanting to sell the site, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure my mom would definitely be interested in that, because it like one of the previous person speaking, right? It would be a direct detriment to living there, so close to that project. So yeah, we would certainly be interested in further discussions.
Any more questions?
Not for me, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mhm. Lachlan, you are next. All right. Lachlan, feel free to go ahead and unmute and ask your questions.
Hi, can you hear me? My name is Lachlan McLaughlin, and I appreciate taking the time to address the board and the construction project representative. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have questions for the
Okay, great.
applicant?
Yes, I do. So I live in Colorado Land and Livestock. I'm a nearby landowner and an intentional homesteader. I do see myself in the view shed of Appendix A, Figure 5. I just wanted to ask the representative a few questions. And have you notified the adjacent landowners by mail, and how many have you notified?
We notified the adjacent landowners within, I stated earlier, half an hour, but I believe it was a 1 mile radius, which I've got here.
Okay, that would explain why
Within the site.
I wasn't notified. However, I am in the viewshed area map, which I believe that it would be courteous to notify the rest in that area and not just within a mile, because as we can see in Appendix A, Figure 5, there's going to be much more visual impact to the local people who live there. I would like to ask you also if you'd be willing to notify each of those landowners within the scope of that map in Appendix A, Figure 5, if you'd be as courteous to notify them and commit to a new meeting with the Huerfano County Board in the future so that we all have a fair opportunity to address the project in its current configuration.
So that's a bit of a process question. So I will say that it's up to the board whether the hearing is continued or not, and not really the applicant. So I think I'm going to ask that we hold on that question until the board has a chance to decide whether they want to continue hearing things. The noticing is done by the county based on the rules, and the applicant pays for said noticing. So that's why the noticing is what it is. Any more questions, sir?
Yeah, I would like to ask if the board could consider that question posited at some time here and follow through with a further notification of the actual people impacted by this project and not just a select few.
I'd like for you to, did you look at the view shed, like the vantage points to see the simulation of what the site looks like from that distance? Because as you can imagine, a view shed you can theoretically see something from a very long distance if you've got a telescope. But the human eye can't see something that is 2 miles away very well at all. It's very blurry.
I would like to disagree with that statement.
Hold on, sir. Let me finish answering.
You can see for miles with your bare eyes.
Thank you. You want to continue that answer, and then if you have a further question, you can ask, but go ahead.
Yeah, will the board be willing to address the issue of notifying more landowners at a later time during this meeting?
Thank you. You want to finish your answer?
I was just going to say that's why we have the visual simulation so people can see what the site looks like from a far distance. They are not very tall, and they do not. They're not very intrusive from a distance.
Sir, I have a different question. Would you be willing to notify each individual landowner and commit to a new hearing with the board as an opportunity to fairness for those who are currently impacted by this project?
Carl, tell me again. It's not his decision. It's the board's decision.
I want to remind you, sir, again, what I said earlier, that is a board decision at this point, not an applicant decision.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there are no further questions for the applicant, we'll proceed on to the county staff report. Sky?
Good afternoon, County Commissioners and staff. Thank you guys for being here. In reviewing the staff report, I'm going to mostly look at the county code in the process and our role right now as it pertains to the county code. And I have a number of recommendations to make as conditions for approval. This starts on page 144 in your packet. And the applicant has done a sufficient job of going over all of the details of the project, so I'm not going to review that. That is in the packet, if anyone wants to look at that. Because the project generates over 50 megawatts of power, it's considered an area of statewide interest, which triggers what we call our 1041 requirements, or section 7 of our county code. And a 1041 application supersedes or does not also require a conditional use permit because it's more rigorous and covers what a conditional use permit would cover plus additional requirements. The purpose of the 1041 review is to make sure that we've considered all of the potential impacts and we've gone and we've mitigated them to the degree reasonable. This is in section 7.04.07. The criteria are outlined, and in 7.04.11E, there are the submittal requirements outlined. I'm going to skip down to those. In 7.04.11, the approval criteria. So the criteria you guys, the Board of County Commissioners are using today to evaluate the application are: one, that all relevant environmental impacts have been considered and mitigated. Two, that the proposal demonstrates sufficient benefit to Huerfano County and residents, businesses, and communities thereof. The board may negotiate as a condition of approval an agreement that either mitigates potential risks or advances the stated county priorities. And three, that sufficient information has been provided to determine that the criteria have been met. The standards for approval include: one, prior to breaking ground, the applicant will obtain all necessary permits from local, regional, and state and federal governments necessary. Two, that the applicant demonstrates financial capability to develop and operate the proposal. And three, that there are adequate water supplies, and that the proposal will not cause a loss of agricultural lands without an equal or greater gain in economic value, that the proposal shall not significantly degrade or pose a significant hazard to any aspect of the environment, including environmental resources and open space areas. And three, that that the project will minimize the likelihood of release of any hazardous material into the environment. That includes consideration of air quality, visual quality, surface water quality, groundwater quality, wetlands and riparian areas, terrestrial and aquatic animal life, terrestrial and aquatic plant life, soils and geological conditions. In our 141 requirements, there are additional standards that specifically apply to this type of project, which is considered a major facilities of the public utility. And those are, there are 5 of them. Those are: one, that the facilities shall be sited and constructed in areas that will result in the proper utilization of existing facilities and associated systems within or serving the county. 2, that facilities shall be permitted in those areas in which anticipated growth and development may occur as a result of such facility can be accommodated within the financial and environmental capacity of the area to sustain growth and development and are in accordance with the applicable county land use plans. 3, that existing facilities and associated systems serving the area must be at or near operational capacity. 4, if a facility extension or replacement is proposed, the age of existing facilities and associated systems, their operational efficiency, and their state of repair level of service, such as extension or replacement, is warranted. And 5, if a new facility is proposed, existing facilities may be upgraded or expanded. In this case, there are sort of legislative and system capacity issues at play, so it doesn't have quite the relationship to existing facilities as the language here might infer. So as you consider a large solar project like this, there are a couple of primary concerns that types of solar projects tend to bring up. Those include erosion, and that's particularly during the construction and vegetation management throughout the life of the project. So once the site has been revegetated, erosion is not really going to be a great concern. But in that period, during and immediately after construction, we do want to make sure that erosion doesn't become an issue. Vegetation management includes monitoring for noxious weeds as well as mitigating fire risk. So one of the types of fire risk with a solar project is that overgrowth weed could cause a spark at some point in the panels. So it is important to mitigate, to manage the vegetation throughout the life of the project. Most of this site is relatively flat and it's growing on native shortgrass vegetation. So that shouldn't require a whole lot of action on part of the applicant, but it is something that can be monitored. Other key concerns include the impact on wildlife habitat. To this end, there's the wildlife corridor, wildlife friendly fencing, and also the visual impact of the project, which has been commented on by some of the commenters and questioners just recently. The applicant does address each of these issues in different ways throughout the application. And I'm not going to go through each of those as the applicant has touched on these issues in his report. There's a number of other federal permits that are involved in this process. You can see the list of those at page 149. Relating to the county comprehensive plan, the zoning and land use goal 9 mentions encouraging energy efficiency and renewable energy development throughout the county. 9.1 states that the county allows development of community and a large-scale commercial solar arrays on the east side of I-25 by permitting them in the agricultural zone. So this is this doesn't pose a conflict with our comprehensive plan or the comprehensive plan that was in place when this application was submitted. I've got 11 recommended conditions of approval, and I'll go through those. 1, to involve Colorado Parks and Wildlife in the review of the noxious weed management plan. 2, to design power lines using suggested practices for aiding protection on power lines in the state of the art in 2006, and reducing aiding collisions with power lines in the state of art in 2012, available from the Edison Electric Institute. 3, to survey the site prior to the beginning of construction for raptor nests, burrowing owl nests, and if burrowing owl nests are found, to maintain a 200-meter buffer in which no surface disturbance takes place between March 15th and August 15th. And mountain plover presence, and if mountain plover nest sites are found, maintain a 300-foot buffer in which no surface disturbance takes place between April 1st and August 5th. 4, that wildlife corridor should be maintained a minimum width of 250 feet. This is on the site plan provided by the applicant, so the proposed plan does not violate that, but if the plan should change, that minimum distance should be maintained. Number 5, during construction, measures should be taken to contain and avoid runoff into streams, wetland areas, and that any necessary measures to prevent erosion, sedimentation of stormwater discharges after construction should be taken. Number 6, to evaluate the impact of construction phase on county roads and require mitigation or road use agreement if necessary. Number 7, to provide the county with application paperwork submitted for state and federal permits associated with the project. And that is just so that we have in our records a complete documentation of the information that's being provided to different agencies. And that 6 months prior to construction, the applicant shall submit a logic plan that indicates strategies to maximize the housing of as many workers as possible within Huerfano County. This may include outreach efforts to local property owners. Number 9, to approve on condition that all strategies and management practices to mitigate impacts outlined in the project application be implemented as described. Number 10, to require the fire department to review and approve safety and fire mitigation features on all parts of the project, including battery storage, substation, and switching station. And finally, number 11, to allow annual inspection by the county to ensure the effectiveness of revegetation efforts and ongoing noxious weed management plan. Management of vegetation to minimize fire risk and stormwater and erosion mitigation. And to require that the applicant agree to promptly address any issues noted during an inspection. With that, I'll conclude my summary of the staff report. And if there are any questions for me at this point from the board, I welcome those.
So while the board is still processing through, any questions from the public for Scott? Or online?
Well, I had questions. Is it the board or are you doing public first? Got it.
Hello, my name's Dave Monroe, and I was just curious on monitoring for when there's no staff on hand at the facility. What is done there, Dale?
So my understanding is that there will be staff on site at the facility, but the monitoring that I'm recommending as a condition of approval is by county staff. So that the applicant agrees to allow county staff to enter the property and inspect for noxious weeds and potentially the overgrowth of weeds if there needs to be mowing or any other mitigation measures taken to keep the site safe. And so in this, an annual inspection would probably be sufficient to keep an eye on and monitor any changes that are happening with vegetation.
Vegetation and the battery banks as far as before it would get out of control. The situation would get out of control if there's no staff on hand.
Do you want me to address that question?
No, questions for Sky.
Yeah, so if staff, either our weed management, which is titled our weed management specialist, or our county building staff do an inspection and they find that there's something out of line, then it will be on the applicant to respond promptly and fix that.
Any more questions for Sky?
As far as the water requirements, you had made some mention of that about water, but there's been no discussion of the specifics of water, a well, anything like that for the project.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that's something that the commissioners can consider. I didn't make a specific request, recommendation on water requirements. Once the site is built, there is, very little that's likely to happen on site. There'll be water trucking during the phase of construction for workers and for construction purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, please.
Hey, Sky, good to see you again, man. A couple of questions that just came around, and I'm not sure if this is a question for you. Hopefully it's not for Dale. We missed that section. On page 114 of the glare review, it gives 5 different routes, two-way traffic, and different glares would be assumed of that area. Of all of those studies, they all say 0 minutes. Are we to accept as the county that there will be no glare from this unit in any direction at any time for an entire year? Is that seems patently false. I'll just leave that there because I'm sure there's something to be said about that. Second was my earlier question about the building.
Hold on a second. Scott, do you have an answer for that?
I don't have an answer to that. Perhaps the applicant can address that. I'm not sure how glare is measured and what distance. If there's a measurement for that, or
yeah, there's 2 measurements for yellow glare and green glare that are made in the assumptions of that study. It's by 2 dot. I think that's primarily what these residents are concerned about with some of the other things as far as east and west tracking. Of course, we've already determined that it must face south because that's where the sun is from most of the year. But that study being done, which we've seen engineering studies here and homeowner studies here, and most of them come back with whatever is positive to the builder, but it doesn't necessarily reflect the reality of what's happening out there on the land. So I would like to see that maybe study revisited by 2 dot, whether it was insufficient or again patently false. So I think most of these people would agree.
Is there a question in there?
Yeah, no, I have seen a solar array. It does look like a lake. I've driven up on a couple of them in Utah. Like, man, I can't believe there's water out there, and it's not. It looks like water. It looks like a really nice little skinny. Wow, there's a lake right there. I don't really believe it's much of a problem, but I live way out there.
Still looking for that question.
Okay, that's my question. Are we going to accept that study, or are we going?
You know, Ryan, it's typical when we have studies done by engineers and they put their engineer stamp on a study that we presume that it's accurate.
Okay.
And that's true for
sorry.
And that's true for engineering that we do on site plans for construction of housing. If an engineer had gone through and reviewed the plans and stamps it, then we assume that that is structurally sound. And I think with this as well, we treat engineer studies with the presumption of validity.
Yes, sir. I get that, but I've served on a board as a volunteer here where we look at those engineering studies. The purpose of our review is that to deny that engineer. That's the purpose of the volunteer board. And I understand that this volunteer board has put in months of work, years of development is about to begin to honor these residents. Hours of time, I think, would be appropriate. So I'll let that go. I'm just confused by the study because it has several statements of 0. 0 is not a possible answer. Second, from the health department, Robin Sykes has submitted her letter. It's the same concern I have earlier, is that this is a couple of hundred people. We're building a building. There's possible bathrooms, showers, etc. I assume that the building will have some form of kitchen. In the ongoing development of this, there needs to be a study for septic and water. If this was a house on 35 acres, it would have a much higher stringent requirement for this permitting process.
Yeah, so the peak presence of employees is going to last 2 to 5 months. Construction phase will last about a year, and during that time, there isn't going to be sewage built on site, but there are going to be portable restrooms brought on site, and those will be serviced.
So that's the
and then once
toilet.
And once construction is complete, then there's really going to be very minimal presence on site. But yeah, during that construction phase, it's going to be portable restroom facilities.
Yeah, as building authority volunteer here, I would ask the planning commission to maybe take a look at furthering developing that end of the plan. We can't build a house out here 10 by 12 without a lot more facilities in the plan. So it's in agreement with most of the residents that as we move forward, there's still a lot of holes that need to be filled. Sorry, Dale. Yeah.
All right, so Joshua, we're trying to do questions here. Questions for Scott.
Hi, Scott. I want to address the battery energy storage system, the BESS system. And what is the local fire department that will be handling the NFPA 855 compliance audit? Who's the local fire district coordination, and has that been presented?
When we get an application like this, a 1041 or even a conditional use permit application, we send it to all of our county agencies for review. So yes, our fire department has had a chance to review this application and will be involved during the process to monitor the installation and to identify any issues that may come up.
So has the local fire department been trained to handle BESS systems? Is there any additional equipment that will be needed for purchase by the local department?
I'm not aware that there's a lack of training, and there was no comment by the fire department that they would need additional equipment. If that's the case, Carl, are you aware of anything there?
So because I'm serving as hearing officer, I have not been involved in the review of this.
Yeah.
But you to confirm, Sky, did the fire department receive a notice? And if so, who did it go to? If you want to defer to Sherry on that, you can too, but
It did go to Roy Brick, and there was no response.
you show me that report.
I would have to get it.
Okay, so one of your questions while Sherry's looking to see if the define where it went to the fire department.
What was that?
Sherry's gonna look and see, define where it went to the fire department. So if you want to continue the questions.
Okay. What is the travel time of the nearest fire department to that site? And how greatly could that be affected by weather, like rain or snow, that causes just a soupy mess out there? Could that access be blocked by weather?
All right, guys.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Well, like rain, like snow, like if it snows, I can only drive out of my place at night or go into my place right before dawn. Like even on the gravel roads out there, for heavy equipment, I'm talking my small car leaves ruts. What's this heavy equipment? How accessible is this actually going to be for fire departments? And then what is the closest backup department if it is an out of hand fire instance that this department cannot handle on their own? How long will backup be?
I'm not aware of what the travel time is. The access to the site is going to, it will be accessible by the fire department. The construction phase of this site is going to have considerable number of trucks getting to the site, and the roads to the site will be accessible by trucks and therefore also by fire trucks.
like I say, I mean, my road's not accessible year round already.
I think this point's been made there. There's another question there.
All right, and then
Okay, that's,
what about the water usage? Like I've already asked Mr. Dale about this. He said that they were going to use the same water supply, just keep filtering it. It takes some 30,000 gallons of water annually, 30 to 50,000 gallons to cover a facility like this. Do they have a well approved there, or will all water be trucked into the site that's needed to use to maintain the roads during building, but also maintain the panels after build?
I believe the plan is to truck water.
all right. Any other questions from, Lance? Do you have any other questions for Sky? No. Panel, do you guys have any questions for Scott? Mary, do you have questions for Scott? No? All right, thank you, Sky. With that, we'll look to the public for testimony. If anyone wants to speak from the public or con, come forward and raise your hand and we'll recognize you to come and speak. Okay. Yep. All right. Okay.
Is that a hand up? I think he was just scratching. No.
Okay, man.
Sorry.
So we're allowed to talk openly now. We're allowed to include our opinions, not just questions.
Correct.
So large utility scale solar plus battery projects do produce low carbon electricity, but they also produce real measurable local harms, loss of habitat and biodiversity, erosion, water quality risks, heavy dust and silica exposure during construction, life cycle waste problems, discarded panels, batteries and such.
Yeah, this is testimony. So what we've done before now is you have had a chance to ask questions. So now he gets a chance to say what he would like to say, without the limitation of just being a question to you, Ms. Scott, out of that.
Okay, but it's reading some of us. We'll just get a copy of it.
So as I understand this from the county attorney,
Okay.
he gets a chance, people get the chance to speak. If you want to introduce that testimony as written, you can introduce it into the record, or have to give them a chance to speak.
Oh, that's fine. I just was wondering if he was going to give us a copy.
Would you like to provide us a copy?
No.
All right then.
Well, I mean, I got one copy. I do have, I don't have the copy of what I'm speaking from. This is a correlation of multiple things that I'm trying to cover here. I mean, I have 15, 16 different points, something like that. Wildlife habitat, visual property impacts, socioeconomic local benefits, missing deliveries, questions for the council, transportation and road damage, wetlands, canal waters, dusted air health quality, best fire emergency risk. I mean,
I just.
do you have a question?
I think what
Like
she's asking
specific-
is what you were reading off the phone, if you want to provide them that in writing.
Oh.
Or like an email.
Well, I'd like to present you guys, maybe with, information. I didn't know I was presenting you guys with information necessarily. I just thought we were speaking, everything was being put on record. Yeah.
Prevent something.
So that they can follow along with me speaking, or so that they can review it later, or?
Both.
Yeah, both.
I mean, is this being recorded?
It is.
Yeah, the whole meeting was recorded.
Okay, so then I can apply for the recording of this and review the recording, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it.
Okay, so she can apply for the recording and review the recording also. But yes, I'd already told you I'd ask Asperger's, ma'am. I already told you interrupting me and would throw me off schedule
All right,
of what I was
Josh.
trying
Okay,
to say.
next.
All right, go on.
So I'll just sell my land. I'm sorry. I just,
Take a minute to make a picture. You're right.
I'm sorry, because now you guys don't understand like how my brain works. I'm a very intelligent person. I have a lot of things to say. But when there's interruptions like that, now, like I say, I'm jumbling my words. Like, usually I start thinking about like, you know, but I'm trying to avoid that, so that's making me glitch even harder.
I apologize.
So, if you-
Just-
I'll take some time.
I'm a very, very big proponent for renewable energies. Like, a lot of us are off grid out here.
Connect it to the next one.
But I think a lot of things are being ignored with this. If I could find my exact point where of my discussion to go off of, where I can read so that what I've already prepared, instead of trying to go off the top of my head, trying to rebuttal with anybody that's interrupting me with stuff. I'd like to read my full statement once I find that.
Josh, would you like me to give you time to search for that and see if anyone else has
Is
time?
there somebody else that would like to speak?
Just say that. That's okay.
Hello, thanks again for your time. Somebody had said something, just please consider, I don't know if you've ever been on County Road 103 or County Road 120. We didn't know when we bought that property, County Road 103 is not maintained. It is the shortcut. It's not heavy machinery. You can't get under the, through the tunnel, but that road is impassable after it rains. If it's been raining for a day, you're not getting through. You have to go up on the pasture, on people's private property to get through that road. There are at least 5 or 6. One part of County Road 103 is disintegrating. So it's down to one lane, and this lane is going down into a gully or a ravine. We've put up a stake and tires so people don't end up in it. Same thing coming down Butte up the 103. You go up the hill, you're going to slide off into a ravine. 120, not ideal driving after it's been raining for a day, maybe 2. Better than 103, but 103 is always the shortcut. So if you're going to do this, just consider maybe putting down some gravel, maybe getting a backhoe out there and filling some of these areas. They're not maintained at all. We are on the very bottom of the totem pole. So in terms of county maintenance, we're okay with that. We're not planning on going anywhere, but something to consider and something for you to set into place. Those roads are not safe. People get stuck all the time. We pull ranchers out that are in 350 4-wheel drive trucks stuck in the mud. So if you're going to approve it, which is great, just consider that. Consider maybe putting that into a requirement that they're going to help participate so that the county doesn't bear that burden. Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Not finished yet. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions for me?
Or do you have any questions? Sky?
Scott? He's gone.
No? All right.
No.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions from the public? Testimony from the public?
This isn't really a question, but
Testimony.
Yeah.
I worked in Boston.
That's just so people online can hear you.
Oh, there's another one over here. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't
So-
stand up.
You should be close enough.
Okay, all right. My name is Cheryl Rogers, and my husband and I own property in the Claremont Verde subdivision, south of the proposed Delta Solar plant. We are opposed to this plant for the many reasons already stated, but also have some other concerns. According to Tri-State Generation and Transmission Vice President of Energy Resources, which all of us get those if you have anything to do with San Isabel. Susan Hunter, in a January 2025 Colorado Country Life magazine, she states the following: safety is also a priority. Wind and solar farms are cited to avoid wildlife habitats and migratory paths, military training activities, and airspace flights pass over us. However, incorporating batteries introduce risks like thermal runaways. When a battery heats up, rapidly potential leading to a fire or explosion as the batteries release energy uncontrollably. With this solar plant being sited next to BLM land, what happens when an aerial shot from a hunter sends these batteries into a thermal runaway? And there are lots of hunters that come out in that area. The fire department is at least an hour away and may not even be prepared for such a fire. My husband and I have also planned to build 2 more homes in this subdivision and are concerned about keeping our historic scenic views and glare. In the same article, Susan Hunter says, the shift to renewable often pits urban demands against rural land use. Many people don't like the impact of huge solar and wind farms because they may limit the visual enjoyment and usability of the land. Glare would also make our land unusable, with not being able to look a certain direction. For parts of the day, my husband and I would reconsider building if this solar plant were to go forward. We are against this proposal and encourage the commission and planning department to deny this application. Thank you for your time, and I hope all of you have made the drive up I-25 and see the huge solar farms. We can see all the way up to Pikes Peak from our property. So it's more than a half mile of 1 mile. Thank you.
So any questions for Cheryl?
How far do you live from the site?
Excuse me?
How far do you live from this site?
About 2 miles. Yep. We can see the train tracks, we hear the train, there's just a lot of, it goes a lot further than just a mile that we can see things. Thank you. Any more questions?
Thanks, Cheryl. So I know Jim has to leave at 4. So this being a natural stopping point here, do you want to continue this hearing to another day? Or do you want to continue without Jim? And it's also been a few hours of this.
Can I say something? So I don't know, we've been asked to maybe have a second meeting once others have been notified. Does the board want to talk about that
That's also a
before
question.
we move forward, or are we gonna decide to move forward?
Just to get more information. I was thinking we should hold it to another day and then get more information.
Good.
So
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
to have another
And it
meeting,
has to
stop
be
now,
on planning and zoning.
and then have another meeting.
I just don't have the time for the meeting.
That's
It has to be when we meet with planning and zoning, because all these meetings extra are really difficult for me personally. And I'm just a volunteer.
All right, guys. So, that'll be a 1:30 on a Thursday.
What Thursday?
So is that saying that
That's not planning and zoning days.
we're gonna have a second meeting after these people are notified, or we're just gonna continue this meeting? I mean, I'm not really sure where,
So we will continue this meeting
okay.
I would need to check with the county attorney about re-noticing it. We can certainly send out notices, but like an official notification for 1041 hearing is 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
So
all.
that's been done. Additional notification can happen if you guys direct it. Likewise, if there's anyone else you want to hear from, that you need more information or things that you're already curious about and want more information on, that's another thing we can request and get together before that next hearing of this hearing.
So shouldn't we make that decision today, as long as we're all here, instead of having one meeting after another, and can't we make that?
You certainly can.
I think we should. I mean, that's just.
So what did you want to?
That's why we're here in the 90-day.
Right. So we were asked to have a second meeting, with notification to the public, to the landowners.
There's notification.
So I didn't know
Where
if
is this
you guys
going?
wanted to revisit that again, or we just continue with this meeting? Because we've been asked by the public to do that. So, correct? Am I right?
Well, one thing I was thinking of, we did not hear from Roy Britt, the fire department. And that's a.
I can't hear you.
All right, so Carl said that he also wanted to hear from Roy Britt. And there was a question, Roy Britt, the Rockland County Fire Chief. Sharon, you looked at that question about notification going to Roy?
I did look at the notification going to Roy. I do apologize. I was not the person that sent out. I'm not saying it's not my fault, but it is my fault, I guess. So our previous permit tech sent out the letters of notification, and it did not go to Roy. I think that's like the only person it didn't go to. I would personally reach out to Roy tomorrow.
So if you guys, so that being both the request from the public and this, if you want to set a date, the next regularly scheduled planning commission day is November 6th. You can continue this hearing for up to 60 days. I think, the one thing to remember is that during the continuation, while this is under your review, until a final decision made, you should not discuss the application with anyone. Such as an ex parte communication, and when we resume, I have to ask you, did you have any communication to anyone? You have to disclose said communication. So that said, are there proposed days that work for you guys? You guys being the planning commission and
November 6th. Dale, just to let you know, we did try to schedule it for what would have been like a second meeting in October for planning and zoning. But a lot of people couldn't make it. It was just trying to get schedules.
We're trying.
The 6 would work with
I go to a lot of meetings.
I have, stack in person.
yeah. Okay, so we don't have Mitchell on the 6th.
One that's concerned that Jim's gonna be gone now.
Yeah.
What about
Okay,
next
so we're on
week?
6th.
October 3rd.
We should just get.
Or the 13th.
Sorry, November 13th.
So you want to look at November 13th or,
Well, what about
October 30th? When we can either direction.
the 23rd? The 16th? Why is it 16th?
October 23rd was when we were gonna try to do it,
And-
but
Yeah,
the BLCC couldn't make it at all.
Oh,
Not one member of it.
What can they make it on the 3rd?
okay. Lonnie can on the 30th?
30th, October
And
30th.
I think that's
Yeah.
stuff off the time.
6th, I could.
Yeah, I
What about
can.
the 13th?
Let's just do it for the 6th, and who can make it, and the other ones, they're just gonna have to not make it.
Well, actually, I looked at, that's what I was saying, I looked at it wrong. The 6th is HCBA, planning commission is the 13th.
13th is fine.
The
I was,
13th.
sorry, I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
That's what I
13th
thought.
works.
It's like a-
13th.
It's the planning and zoning.
Yes.
Yes.
So is that when we're gonna continue?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Fine with me.
Okay.
You want to roll call?
13th.
Can you,
13th?
can you come?
On the 13th of November, 13th is.
Yeah.
You will be here, either me or that team member of mine. I believe I should be able to make the 13th. Let me just double check.
Okay, so planning commission, that is the day that we have an application for you. So we would probably have to meet with you either earlier or reschedule another meeting because it is in the application that is scheduled for public hearing that day.
So we're just gonna have a public meeting then?
A public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is when it can't come to.
I can't come to what?
So when you're,
Put me
we're
out.
talking about meeting a little early, and that's hard. to do.
I was not.
We do it all in the afternoon or we do it?
But they
He needs to speak. Oh, witness this time.
Sure, okay. You want to
I'm
something?
happy to make it on the 13th. I also was just gonna say that I'm happy to answer any additional questions the board might have. And with regards to fire department, any conditions that are added, we're gonna be happy to meet. So I think that adding conditions to approval is a great way to be able to secure whatever concerns you have.
Yeah.
If that makes any difference in us adding.
Yeah, and I had asked that previously, so I was satisfied with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Happy to come out here.
No problem. So the 13th at 1:30, so planning commission, we do have an application, so we'll work with you guys offline to find either if you can come in early that day or we can schedule another day for your regular scheduled meeting that day. And we can address that and keep the application moving forward.
I can come over.
I'll
Is
send
the time
out.
to do it in the afternoon or want to start early?
Up to you guys. We're flexible. Do whatever works for you.
It's gonna get dark.
Early to be fine.
I don't, it's gonna be a lot of consolidation, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long.
So if we met at like 12:30, if Lenny, if Lenny can make it.
But I'll do what I have, I'll do whatever I have to do.
Morning, what's you got?
And maybe we can start at 12:30 instead
This is fine.
I just-
Yeah.
And it's gonna try us all.
That should be something good.
Oh, so I don't have to vote this time.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just do it. That's what-
Just go right through that door.
Yeah, work to the door.
Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Let me, you guys first, so I'll go back to the public.
So
So
public hearing at 10?
No, you'd have your.
would that be okay for you guys? You public hearing earlier? I mean, talking about the one for land use and for the plan mission?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does 10 o'clock that day work for you guys?
Works for me.
But 10?
10.
Lena is the one that, she's still working.
So, yeah, so what are we gonna do at 10? We're gonna do this meeting?
Not this one, the one that's on, the application that the planning commission has.
Yeah, we have a public hearing that day, it's just about consolidation.
Do I have to come back? Could I-
No, I mean, if there's a quorum, we should be good. You can come later today for this.
Yeah, so what time are we gonna start this? 12:30?
I would think so. That sounds, I see agreement on 12:30 to start this again on 13th.
Yeah, you guys can handle that without me. Surely can.
So, what I'm gonna need is a motion. Motion to continue the hearing until.
Not that motion?
Not that motion.
No, yeah, okay.
I move that we continue this hearing till 12:30 on November 13th, because we're gonna have planning and zoning starting at 10 o'clock that same day.
Second?
I second it.
All right. Sherry?
Chairman Squirrely,
Yes.
Commissioner Wardell,
Yes.
Chairman, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Roder,
Yes.
they say it.
I don't know. You said rotor already.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Paul, if you're still on there.
No. Go on. Dale?
Yeah, didn't I?
I didn't hear you speak.
Yes, she's the third one.
Okay. All right, so that motion passes. Michael, questions? Hmm?
We continue with public comment.
Yes, so when this meeting resumes, we'll resume with testimony from the public.
Okay.
So what date is that? What time?
That'll be November 13th. At 1:30. Sorry, 12:30.
12:30, yeah.
12:30 for planning commission, and then we'll start this one at 12:30.
No, 12:30 for this.
Oh, sorry.
Planning commission at 10 a.m.
What kind of formal notice will be put out or sent out?
There's not a notice for continuation. Now, that said, we've been asked to contact more people in the area. So we'll work on that as well. It won't be a formal notice the way that we receive notice for this one goes. But we'll make an effort to spread the word and get a letter out to those folks.
You said planning commission is this hearing at 1:30.
12.
Is there a work session along with that, discussion or?
This is still a public hearing that can't be a work session to close the public hearing.
Or so, sorry, I thought that was the role there that we were closing it.
No, we were continuing the public hearing. Any more questions for the good of the order? All right then, so, probably don't mind doing the gavel thing and we'll,
Okay.
adjourn this meeting until we continue on the 13th.
Adjourn at 4:06.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, so the hearing stays open until the next 13th.